So you're planning to start the carnivore diet in the new year. Congratulations and welcome to the tribe. And you're wondering how to start. Well, I'm going to give you a very simple guide here on how to start a carnivore diet, but I want you to actually start it immediately. And by start it immediately, I mean commit to it immediately. That doesn't mean stop eating the holiday stuff you're going to have at Christmas and all that. What I mean is start tracking what you eat now. Go back to yesterday or the day before and start tracking, get a tracker, find out how much you ate. And the reason I want you to do that is tracking and things are very divisive in the carnivore world. Some people like myself have to track and restrict to lose weight or to control whatever it is we need controlling. Other people don't and will vehemently swear against it. But that's not why I want you to track. What I want you to track so you have an idea of what you're eating. So you can actually see in just hard data how much you're eating. Yes, count the holidays too. You need to see how many carbs you're getting, how much fat, how much protein, and just the amount of food you're getting. I use MyFitnessPal. It costs like 50 or 60 bucks a year for the weight and grams thing. Just use one. I don't really care which one you use, and keep track of things until your start date. Now, when I started the carnivore diet, I didn't start on January 1st. I weighed myself on December 25th, 2020, saw that I was nearly 400 pounds after having a horrible year of health and having had a few accidents that kept me sedentary and not in a good headspace. My weight had just exploded that year. I got on the scale December 25th and then started the carnivore diet the next day. And then I lost 150 pounds I started keto the next day. Between keto and carnivore, I ended up losing 150 pounds before taking a weird health downturn this month, actually. It's been a pretty rough November into Christmas kind of period for me and my family. So I will probably have to do some weight loss catching up here shortly, and that's fine. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to strongly consider not waiting until January 1st. Start the weight loss journey the way I did, December 26th. Get ahead of the pack. And if not that, if you're unwilling to do that, at least begin the process of purging the house of the things you shouldn't eat. I'll get to what you should eat on a carnivore diet here in a second, but in general, we should all be able to agree that Hostess products, Little Debbie products, Baskin-Robbins products, that kind of stuff has no place in a carnivore diet. I hate wasting food, even that stuff, because there's someone out there who needs it. That stuff's better eaten than nothing at all. And while people can argue about what, people being starving in America or the Western world, the reality is there are people hurting out there. It'd be better to just put that in a food box somewhere or give it to a friend in need than to let it sit in your house and be a tempting factor for you or throw it away. If you must throw it away, then throw it away. But please give it away to a food box if you can. That's where you start. That's the first thing. So what do you eat on a carnivore diet? Again, this is debatable because there are people who want to call something the carnivore diet by adding fruit and honey. I am not on team fruit and honey. Firmly not on team fruit and honey. The carnivore diet is a rather explicit thing of eating mostly ruminant animals, the flesh of mostly ruminant animals, organs if you need them or not, and dairy if you need it or not, depending how strict you want to go. There's a whole range of them, and I've done a video on that. The classic way to start a carnivore diet is on day one, you start eating only beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. I advocate a little bit of seafood once a week or so to help keep your vitamin D up, especially this time of year. But be careful because so much of that stuff has got microplastics and mercury levels through the roof that you want to keep it to minimal. But in general, beef, butter, bacon, eggs, maybe some salmon. That's it. That's all you need. Sounds expensive? Not really. Ground beef goes on sale all the time. It's super cheap. And it works just as well as ribeyes. We are not a food religion based around the worship of the ribeye steak. Many of your influencers will tell you, eat nothing but fatty red meat. And they point to the ribeye. They say, today, 3 ribeyes. I'm happy that they're a member of the 1%. I'm not. I can't afford 3 ribeyes a day. My family and I decided to buy a full cow, though, and there are other cuts of steak that are perfectly fine on the carnivore diet. What you can do is you can easily add animal fat if needed to other cuts of meat. Rump roast is cheap, very cheap. You can add other cuts to it to make it fattier, or you can add butter to it to make it fattier, or ghee, or other animal fats, including just plain old lard. There are people in the carnivore world who cut lard into squares, little squares, and throw them in their air fryer or in their pellet grill or whatever, and they crisp them up and then they eat them like they're pork rinds. Sounds weird if you're not in the carnivore world. Spend enough time here, everything starts to make more sense. How strict should you go on a carnivore diet is a common question. The answer is, I think everyone should start strict, and then see if they like the results they're getting. But it also depends on why you're doing carnivore. When I started carnivore, you don't hear this as much anymore, but carnivore started out as an elimination diet to eliminate everything everything down to just the animal products and see what was causing you the problems you're having, and then add things back in as needed. You don't hear that so much anymore. And I think partially because we started seeing people say they added anything that wasn't beef, butter, bacon, eggs, and a little bit of fish back in, they start having problems. So, but that's not true for everybody. So if you're just trying to get a metabolic problem under control, then start it out beef, butter, bacon, eggs, and do it for 90 days, the 90-day beef, butter, bacon, eggs challenge. Start there. So January 1st, we'll say, puts you into late March. Okay, that's fine. Start there, and then stay there. Make sure you get plenty of salt, good salt, sea salt, land-based sea salt, not table salt, which actually usually is dextrose, which is sugar added to it, believe it or not. But start there. If you are doing it for weight loss reasons, I mean, you could, if you start adding, plants back in, you've left carnivore and are entering the ketovore space, which is an animal-based keto diet, which is sort of like the bridging point between keto and carnivore, or you might be just back into plain old keto. There are differences between the diets. We're not so obsessed with counting carbs here because you're not getting carbs, except for what might be trace amounts in the organ meat and the eggs you're eating. What we advocate here is a total elimination of plants. I'll put an asterisk next to that statement because the other massively divisive issue in the carnivore space is coffee. I'm not anti-coffee. I'm not going to fight you over your coffee drink. I think people should try to eliminate it and see what happens. If you're like me or others who didn't have coffee for half a year, and then you reintroduced it, and your mental health improved and your results improved, then have your coffee. But if you reintroduce it and you discover it makes things worse, stop with the coffee. Simple as that. But caffeine addiction is real. We know it's real. And I totally understand why you will fight people tooth and nail over your coffee. But beef, butter, bacon, eggs for 90 days. How much should you eat? At the beginning, I suggest just eating until you're satiated. You hear people say comfortably stuffed, and people really latch onto that. They overeat basically every day until the point where they want to go into a food coma. And social media groups, the various carnivore Facebook groups and Reddit groups and everything else are full of people begging for help, wondering why they're gaining weight, because there are people who gain weight from eating even animal fat. It's a myth that you can't. There are people who do. Anybody who laughs at that, I'm sorry, but there are people who literally have this happen, and you don't offer them a solution by not acknowledging the problem's real. So they need help just as much as anybody else. So I suggest for 90 days, see what happens, because you're going to lose weight immediately, almost certainly. And then at some point you may stall out. And it could be a whole number of factors for why you're stalling out. You'll have to do some research at that point about why you're stalling out. It could be anything from you're not eating enough to you are overeating to you're taking in too much salt or not enough salt, or you're one of those people who shouldn't eat eggs, because I can't eat egg whites. I can eat egg yolks, but I can't do whites. There's a whole laundry list of things where you start discovering what your allergies are, what they're not, and what they do to your body. Are there hard and fast rules for carnivore? Yes, and I'll do a video on like the rules of the carnivore diet. But here, this is just how to start the carnivore diet. The quickest answer is strip everything down and just eat beef, butter, bacon, eggs, maybe a little bit of salmon or something. And that's it. Make sure to salt your food. Pretty simple, actually. It's not that hard. The difficulty you may run into is some people will tell you, well, you need, all the essential nutrients you're missing by not eating fiber. Fiber probably causes colorectal cancer. That's probably what's happening. That's what the latest research is saying. So please smile and nod. They don't want to be argued with. I made that mistake. recently on social media somewhere, someone saying how bad a nutrition advice people like us give, when in reality, carnivore diet is saving people's lives and is doing it for pretty cheap. It's not that expensive. I've got videos on how to save money on the carnivore diet, and trust me, I'll be revisiting that topic soon because meat is projected to go up in value or in price 15 to 20% in the new year, such as the times we're in. If you've got any questions on how to start a carnivore diet, let me know in the comments, please. I'll try to answer them, or or one of the viewers will probably try to answer them. Just go ahead and ask some questions. We'll see, and maybe I'll do a follow-up based on some questions, or maybe even do a live stream. Who knows? Anyway, like and subscribe if you found this helpful. It really does help me out when you do that. Share this on social media. That helps a lot as well. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore. Good luck in your carnivore diet in 2023.